Long segment here. I could probably go off on Zeitgeist Addendum all night. I mean, I just think to myself how ludicrous some of those solutions are. You know, another solution that I just don't think is possible is he acts like the elite are going to have to join us, that they're just going to give everybody this free technology. I got news for people out there. Okay, 0-point energy really does exist. It's called the sun. And electromagnetics are out there that also create 0-point energy. And there's a ton of alternative fuels out there. They don't want us to have it. They want to be able to control everything about our lives. That's why you're seeing climate laws add to police workload out in Australia. That's right. They're already there to be carbon cops. Exclusive. Frontline police will be forced to become carbon cops under the government's blueprint to cut greenhouse emissions. Here you go. It's right here. Herald Sun. That's reality. They're openly talking about what Alex Jones talked about in '97 in America Destroyed by Design. Big ideas. Enact a mileage tax. And the government is trying to propose a bill right now where if you turn in your car, your big gas-guzzling, bad, pollutant car, you'll get a $4,500 government waiver, the biggest one out there, one of those little checks, on your next more fuel-efficient vehicle. And I'm not saying we don't need to get into alternative fuels. I'm not saying we don't pollute the world on some level. We do. Again, I've flown into California before. I can tell you that obviously there's some pollution there. There's some problems with what's going into the water. But to guilt the world populace into believing we're responsible for global warming is not only a joke, it's a sick one. So that's my piece on that. We're going to go to a clip of Bill Maher in this segment talking about his disappointment in Obama. I don't know if he's ever actually going to come around. But I think that this is a good segment, and the kids out there should check it out. All right, let's go to who's next. Mark in Georgia. Mark, you're on the line.
Hey,
yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
I'm all right.
Oh, well, you know, I like to put in a bit of humor. This is not the main point I called about.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I don't mean to make light of the fact that depleted uranium is not only killing our troops and causing massive birth defects for us. Our troops don't have to stay there continuously, as do the indigenous people. Anyone that can afford to move out has. But I have this little pipe nightmare that I thought might work well for some skit like Mad TV or Saturday Night Live where, you know, it's like sometime in the future there's this generation of kind of a Persian X-Men with Ahmadinejad as the equivalent of Dr. Xavier, where they've got these mutant powers, and they come over here to extract revenge on the people that lied to us.
Yeah, but that's not what's really going to happen is, you know, I had someone call in not familiar with the DU on Friday's show. You know, she was talking about her son in the military and how he had told her about it. And I'm telling you, there's a video out there, and go check. You know what? Maybe we'll play it on the show. You type in alien baby. Okay.
Oh boy!
And when I saw this thing, I was like, that cannot be real. That looks like a puppet. That cannot be real. And then they start zooming in on it, and it is a green baby with red eyeballs, and I don't even know how to describe the mouth, but it is a baby that is deformed from DU poisoning. It is not an alien. It is the nightmare.
I don't mean to make light of people's suffering.
I'm not. I appreciate the joke, my man. But listen, this ain't comic books. This ain't Radioactive Man on The Simpsons. You dump yourself in radioactive material, you're going to die, and you're going to die a painful death. And if you do live,
a very small minority may develop into something that would not otherwise be. But that's, like I say, that's not the real reason why I called. A friend of mine, I don't know if I've mentioned to you before, I have this friend that he was, it's like, you're the only American I've ever dealt with that understands that there's the Ashkenazis that are, or the Khazarians that are, they're not really of a Semitic lineage. And this guy, like I say, he's a Palestinian Christian. And they're, the thing is, he's been very friendly towards me because there's most people that practice the Jewish faith look at what's going on and saying, what do you mean anti-Semitic? We oppose this.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want our faith being associated with this genocidal, racist, apartheid policy. And do they get airtime? And the answer is no. And that's why I'm trying to basically, you know, I want to prepare articles for like the Pakistani Daily and other websites to say, look, we, the American people, have been trying to disentangle from this. It was over 2-1. Now it's over 4-1. Disapprove of this ongoing occupation. And what we found is that politicians are not to be trusted.
Well, so let's be real, man. AIPAC is a huge lobby. You know, I'll talk about AIPAC. People accuse me.
AIPAC is incredibly corrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have a huge hand in Washington, and no one is denying that. And, again, when someone calls in like yourself and you're intelligent, you're informed, you're not attacking a race of people or a gender of people, I'm down with that. Israel is unfortunately one of the biggest war criminals on the world stage at this point out of any other nation. And the people that run the... Go ahead.
As long as we're clear of the distinction, and I tried to explain this to this guy who's got a radio program, and I try to explain there's a difference between Zionist, the idea that the children of Israel should have a homeland, and then I have to coin an entirely different term for when the Muslim world uses the word Zionist, it's more accurately called Zio-Nazi, because the Zio-Nazi practice of oppression and tyranny, and that's what, it's like when Westerners hear, well, they're against Zionism, they're against the children of Israel having a homeland, it's like, wait a minute, all of this violence going on it's not going on in Israel, it's going on in the occupied territories where Israel goes out and creates all kinds of problems in the land they're illegally occupying. And, of course, the Western press does not explain this is Palestinian territory where all this is happening.
Well, I think the Western press is totally and completely out of control and totally and completely biased and one-sided, especially on that issue. And it's not a surprise because, the AIPAC lobby is actually pretty visible to anybody with eyes who can see. I appreciate the call, sir. Let's jump to who are we on here? I believe we are on Michael in Chicago. Michael, you're on the line.
Hello, Jason.
Yes, sir.
I believe this is kind of off the subject. I hear you talking about UFOs and stuff like that every now and then. I do not mean to sound racist in this, and it's not even a racial statement. I'm just saying this, but I've seen things in the skies of Chicago, not the outskirts, but the actual city that defy everything I've seen in comic books, movies, all of it. And I'm an illustrator. I know real-life physics when I see it. I'm not saying you should jump off the subject of what you're doing. So what you and Alex are doing are so important.
But how is that racist? How would I ever interpret that as racism?
Because normally growing up, I would hear that it's usually white people from the boondocks that hear this kind of stuff. That's
I would think that's nonsense. Dude, listen, I think it's a very unbelievable subject in the fact that it is amazingly documented. It looks like, some of these are actually craft. I've looked at the alternative explanations that they're somehow Earth lights or they might be, military. I think a lot of them are military, in fact, reverse engineered. I don't know. I'm just very weary of the Disclosure Project because the guy that heads it up, look, I don't usually accuse people of being a spook, and I don't know if this guy is a spook, but the way that he acts and the confrontation he had with Colorado We Are Change. And I watched the entire, I think it was back in 2000 or 2001 when they had that National Press Club Disclosure Project thing. It was like 2.5 hours. I watched the entire thing. I watch all this stuff. I've watched NASA UFOs. I think that's probably the most compelling evidence that UFOs actually do exist and they are outside of this world. It's just that, again, you get into that and then all of a sudden you get into little gray aliens and you start getting into people saying that they're abducted and you get into like Whitley Strieber stuff from Communion. Yeah, exactly. And people take it over the top. There is no, and by the way, I've read the Majestic 12 documents that are supposedly, some people say they're a hoax, some people say they're real. Either way, I encourage people to check out the information. If they are real, it's incredible. But until I can actually prove something, I kind of stay away from that subject matter because in the overall importance of everything, I don't know how important that is. And if it is the most important subject, let's say, aliens are our overlords or they're getting ready to invade, I don't know if there's much that Jason Bermas can do about that. So, I know that there's stuff that I can get out there and people are going to take action, such as the MIAC report, or when I report that Glenn Beck is outwardly lying about people, I know he's going to get calls. If I'm reporting that the tasers are being used to kill people, I know more people are going to run for office or call their local legislator and say, hey, we got to do something about this. I know when I show a video of an EMT officer attacked by a police officer, that police officer's sergeant or lieutenant is going to get called and there is going to be some action taken. So that's why I kind of stay away from that esoteric, weird stuff. But at the same time, I'm very open-minded and I love to check everything out. I thank you for the call. We are going to go to this Bill Maher video. This is from Real Time. And again, I used to watch Bill Maher almost religiously when he was on ABC and he had Politically Incorrect. He was one of my favorite political pundits. Again, that was when I was really stuck in this right-left paradigm. And even during the Bush administration, even though he was pretty harsh to 9/11 truthers there during the end, I would still pick it up every once in a while because he'd have people like Mos Def, who were notorious 9/11 truthers, on. And I forget who the guy is. He's a black gentleman. He's a scholar. He had a space bigger than mine when I had one, and he's got crazy hair. And he also said, I wouldn't put it past them either. He's like, I don't think they did it, but I wouldn't put it past them. Meanwhile, he's sitting next to Salman Rushdie, who was restricted from flying for some reason during the time that 9/11 happened. So let's play it. It's Bill Maher on the Obama administration.